Good evening, everybody. This is Sriram Bhairarpu, a PhD student in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Hyderabad. Today, I'm going to present my work on conflict-free coloring, graphs of bounded click width and intersection graphs. It is my joint work with Tim Hartman, Subramaniam Kalyan Sundaram, and Vinod Reddy. Let's get started. I'll first introduce what is the conflict-free coloring problem and then present our results, discuss a couple of our proofs, and then end with some open questions. Let's get started. Given a graph G, a conflict-free coloring is an assignment of colors to a subset of vertices of the graph such that every vertex has a uniquely colored vertex in its neighborhood. The minimum number of colors required for such a coloring is called the conflict-free chromatic number. So we are supposed to assign colors to a subset of vertices of the graph such that every vertex has a uniquely colored vertex in its neighborhood. The uniquely colored vertex in the neighborhood of a vertex V is the vertex which is distinctly colored among all the neighbors of V. Since we are talking about neighborhoods, there are two types of neighborhoods, open and closed. So we'll define the problem in terms of both the variants. First, let us define the problem on open neighborhoods. A conflict-free coloring with respect to open neighborhoods is an assignment of colors to a subset of vertices of the graph such that every vertex has a uniquely colored vertex in its open neighborhood. By open neighborhood, we mean the set of vertices that it is adjacent to. The minimum number of colors required for such a coloring is called the conflict-free chromatic number, denoted by chi-on star of G. We abbreviate the problem as CF-on star coloring problem. On closed neighborhoods, a conflict-free coloring with respect to closed neighborhoods is an assignment of colors to a subset of vertices of the graph such that every vertex has a uniquely colored vertex in its closed neighborhood. The minimum number of colors required for such a coloring is called the conflict-free chromatic number, denoted by chi-Cn star of G. By closed neighborhood, we mean the vertex is itself included in the neighborhood. CF-Cn star coloring is the abbreviation for this problem. Let us look at some examples. Consider the graph and the coloring given. We'll see if it is a valid CF-On star color. The vertex 1 has two neighbors, vertex 2 and 3. One of it is colored with blue, the other one is uncolored. So it has the vertex 2 as a uniquely colored vertex. Similarly, the vertex 2 has only one vertex which is colored and two vertices uncolored. So it has the vertex 2 as a uniquely colored neighbor. The vertex 3 has the vertex 1, vertex 4 and 5 have the vertex 2 as a uniquely colored neighbor. The vertex 1, okay, now let's talk about an edge. The vertex 1 and 2, both of them are given the same color. The vertex 1 has the vertex 2 and the vertex 2 has the vertex 1 as a uniquely colored neighbor. For the CF-Cn star coloring, so the above coloring, which is CF-On star coloring, is not a CF-Cn star coloring. This is because the vertex itself is included in the neighborhood and the vertex 1 has both the vertices colored blue, the vertex 1 and the vertex 2. It sees both of them and hence it is not a valid CF-Cn star coloring. So we change the coloring and this is a CN-CS star coloring. Vertex 1 acts as a uniquely colored neighbor for the vertices 1 and 3. Vertex 2 acts as a uniquely colored vertex for the vertices 2, 4, and 5. For an edge, it is sufficient to just color one vertex, color the vertex 1 with blue, leave the vertex 2 unassigned, and the vertex 1 acts as a uniquely colored neighbor for both the vertices. For clicks of size at least 3, for a click of size 3, two colors are actually necessary. The vertex 3 has the vertices 1 and 2 as a uniquely colored neighbor. The vertex 1 has the vertex 2 and the vertex 2 has the vertex 1. For clicks of size at least 4, two colors are again sufficient. One vertex is colored with blue, one vertex is colored with red, all the others are uncolored. The uncolored vertices will have the vertices 1 and 3 as a uniquely colored neighbor. The vertex 1 will have the vertex 3 will have the vertex 1 as a uniquely colored neighbor. For a click of size 3 in CF-Cn star coloring, one vertex is colored with blue, the other two vertices are left uncolored, and the vertex 1 acts as a uniquely colored neighbor for all of the vertices. For a click of size at least 4, one color is actually sufficient. The colored vertex acts as a uniquely colored neighbor for all the vertices. Now let's talk about a family of graphs, Kn star, which is called subdivision graph of the click. So how is it constructed? We start with a click on n vertices, and we subdivide each edge with a new vertex, and we add pendant vertices to the original vertices of the graph. Okay, so this is a K4 star subdivision graph with the original vertices 1, 2, 3, and 4. We subdivide each edge with a new vertex. The subdivided vertices are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And each of the pendant vertices are attached to the original vertices of the click. So since the original vertices of the click are 1, 2, 3, and 4, pendant vertices are attached to them, one to each of them. Now let us see how to CF-ON star color them. So because of these pendant vertices, its neighbors are forced to be given a color, else the pendant vertices do not have a uniquely colored neighbor. Okay, so now the vertices 1, 2, 3, and 4 are forced to get some color, non-zero color. So can 1 and 2 both be given the same color? If 1 and 2 both are given the same color, then the 5 is going to have not going to have a uniquely colored neighbor. Hence, the vertex 5 forces the vertices 1 and 2 to be differently colored. Similarly, because of the vertices 6 and 9, the vertex 4 is going to get a color which is different from blue and green. Based on the same arguments, because of the vertices 8, 7, and 10, the vertex 3 is going to get a color which is different from the 3 existing colors. So in fact, for a Kn star, for a subdivision graph of a click on n vertices, we require n distinct colors to color the n original vertices of the click. We now try to extend this coloring to the vertices such that every vertex has a uniquely colored neighbor. So all the pendant vertices are now colored. So the pendant vertices will have its neighbor as a uniquely colored neighbor, and the original vertices have their pendant vertices as the uniquely colored neighbor, and the subdivided vertices have both its neighbors as a uniquely colored neighbor. Note that this graph is bipartite, hence it is two colorable, but it is its conflict-free chromatic number in the open neighborhood is n. So since it is bipartite, its conflict-free chromatic number in the closed neighborhood is just 2. We color one of the partition with the color 1, the other partition with the color 2. Each vertex acts itself as a uniquely colored neighbor. Okay. So also note that the number of vertices in this graph is n original vertices plus n choose to subdivided vertices plus n pendant vertices. So which is of the order n square. So for a graph of order n square vertices, n colors are actually sufficient and necessary. So let's look at the motivation. This problem was first introduced by Ivan Lotka, Ron, and Smorodansky in 2004, motivated by the frequency assignment problem. So this problem has been widely studied with respect to both the neighborhoods, and root n number of colors are actually sufficient and sometimes necessary to CF-ON star color a graph. We just saw an example in the previous slide where this bound is tight, where a graph requires root n colors. And in a CF-CN star chromatic number, log square and colors are actually sufficient and sometimes necessary. People have worked on this problem on intersection graphs like disks, squares, rectangles, interval graphs, etc. Most of the variants of this problem are NP complete. So here is a summary of our results. We first show that the problem is FPT with the combined parameters click width and the solution size. We then study the problem on various graph classes like distance hereditary graphs like block graphs and co-graphs, intersection graphs like interval graphs, proper interval graphs, unit square graphs, unit disk graphs, and Neisser graphs and split graphs. So on block graphs, we give an upper bound of 3. We also show that there exists a block graph which requires 3 colors, and we show an upper bound of 2 for cographs. On interval graphs, we show an upper bound of 3, and we show an example of an interval graph which requires 3 colors. We show an upper bound of 2 for proper interval graphs. On unit square and unit disk, we show upper bounds of 27 and 51 respectively. On Neisser graphs, we show that k+1 colors are actually sufficient and sometimes necessary. On split graphs, we show that the problem is NP complete. And we also have algorithmic results on block graphs and cographs. So in the interest of time, let me just present 2 of the results related to interval graphs. I'll present the upper bounds of both the interval graphs and the proper interval graphs. So let's see what are interval graphs first. A graph is an interval graph if there exists a set of intervals on the real line such that for every interval we have a vertex and 2 vertices in the graph are adjacent if and only if their corresponding intervals intersect. So Reddy studied the problem on the full coloring variant. So where every vertex is given a color instead of what we are looking at, where only a subset of vertices may be given a color. Fekete and Keldin showed that 2 colors are actually sufficient to CFCN star color an interval graph. So we show that 3 colors are actually sufficient to CFON star an interval graph, and we also show existence of an interval graph G prime where 3 colors are actually necessary, making the bound tight. So this graph G prime is also a tight example for the full coloring variant of the problem on interval graphs. Okay, let's get started. So if G is an interval graph, then 3 colors are actually sufficient to CFON star color the graph. Let I be the set of intervals. For each interval I, its right endpoint is denoted by R of I. So each interval has 2 endpoints, left endpoint and the right endpoint. We are interested only in the right endpoint. Each right endpoint of an interval is denoted by Ri. And there is a coloring function C, which assigns the color 0, 1, 2, 3 to the intervals, where 0 is a dummy color. If an interval is given a color 0, then it cannot act as a uniquely colored neighbor for any vertex. So let's see the algorithm. We assign the colors 1, 2, and 3 alternately, one in each of the iteration, 1 to L. So in each iteration, we choose one interval and give the colors, one of the colors 1, 2, and 3. We start with the interval I1, which has the least right endpoint, and assign the color 1. So of all the intervals, we check which of the interval has the least right endpoint and assign the color 1. So this is the interval which has the least right endpoint. We assign the color 1 to it. Now we choose an interval I2, which is a neighbor of I1 and has the largest right endpoint. So of all the neighbors of this red colored interval, which of the interval has the largest right endpoint? So this is that interval which has the largest right endpoint of these 3 intervals. So this is chosen as I2 and colored with 2. So now we repeat the process for all the iterations from 3 to L. So in each iteration, we choose an interval ij, which is a neighbor of ij minus 1, and whose right endpoint is the greatest among all the neighbors of ij minus 1. So this is I2. So we choose an interval I3, which is a neighbor of this and which has the largest right endpoint. So this is that interval which has the largest right endpoint. So we choose this. So what is the color that we're going to assign? Since we have 3 colors, so we assign a color which has not been assigned to the last 2 intervals, chosen intervals. So we don't give red, we don't give green to this interval, but a new color. So the next interval which comes up is not going to get this blue or green, but it is going to get a color red, and it goes on alternately. So the next color in the next interval in the sequence is this interval, because of these 2 intervals, this is the interval which has the largest right endpoint, and we need to find out I5, which is this interval, which has it has only one neighbor, and it's this has to be I5. So note that the interval IL chosen in the last iteration is such that it has the largest right endpoint, because there is no other interval which crosses the right endpoint of this. Else, this is not the last interval. It is not the interval in the last iteration. And all the uncolored intervals are assigned the color 0. So all these other intervals are assigned the color 0. Now we need to argue that all the vertices have a uniquely colored neighbor. First of all the vertices assigned the color 0 have a uniquely colored neighbor. So for a vertex to colored 0 to not have a uniquely colored neighbor, it has to be adjacent to 2 red colored vertices, 2 green colored vertices, 2 blue colored vertices, because of the way we are coloring. And this is not possible by the way we have chosen these non-zero colors. Hence, every vertex which is colored 0 is going to have a uniquely colored neighbor. So, and what about the non-zero colored vertices? The non-zero colored vertices or intervals, they are adjacent to exactly 2 other non-zero colored intervals, except for the I1 and IL, the iterations chosen in the first and the last iteration. All of them have 2 other non-zero colored neighbors. So they act as a uniquely colored neighbors for them. Hence, every vertex will have a uniquely colored neighbor, and 3 colors are actually sufficient. We now look at the unit interval graphs. First, let me define what is a proper interval graph. An interval graph is proper if it has an interval representation such that no interval is contained in any other interval. A unit interval graph is an interval graph in which in its interval representation, all the intervals are of unit length. And since all the class of proper interval graphs and the class of unit interval graphs are the same, we argue that 2 colors are actually sufficient for the proper interval graphs, and this holds, or this implies, that the unit interval graphs are also 2 colorable. So we show that 2 colors are actually sufficient, and there exists a graph K3 where 2 colors are actually necessary, making this bound type. So let us see this proof. If G is a proper interval graph, then 2 colors are actually sufficient. So in the previous algorithm, we looked at the right end point of an interval. Now we look at the left end point of an interval. So for every interval I, its left end point is denoted by Li. So we assign the colors 0, 1, 2 to each of the intervals, and 0 is again the dummy color here. At each iteration I, we pick 2 intervals, I1I and I2I. I1I is the interval whose left end point is the least among all the vertices, or among all the intervals for which C has not been assigned. So of all these intervals, let us assume that these 2 intervals are also uncolored. So of all these intervals, you pick the interval which has the least left end point. So this is that interval which is the least and left end point. So it is colored with red. So this is the first interval in the first iteration. What is the second interval in the first iteration? The second interval I2 is a neighbor of I1 and has the largest left end point. So you check the neighbors of this red colored interval, and of all the neighbors, you pick the interval with the largest left end point and color it with blue. So there is only one neighbor of it, so you color with blue. So all the other intervals which are neighbors to these 2 are given the color 0. So which means this vertex is given the color 0 and this vertex is given the color 0. So now we again choose 2 intervals in the second iteration. Choose an interval which has the least left end point. So this is that interval which has the least left end point, and you choose the second interval in the iteration which has the greatest left end point. So of all the intervals, of all the neighbors of this, so there are 3 neighbors of this which are uncolored. So choose the interval which has the largest left end point. So largest left end point is this interval, so you give it blue. Now all the vertices which are adjacent to these 2 vertices now are given the color 0, which means these 4 vertices are assigned the color 0. Right. So one question is that, does there exist a second interval in every iteration? So when does this happen? When all the neighbors of the I1, I are already colored. So this may happen that there is no second interval in the iteration I. So this could happen in the very last iteration L of the algorithm. For example, this is the case where these are the vertices in one iteration, the second iteration, and in the third iteration, there is only one vertex which is colored with red. There is no neighbor of it to be colored. Hence, there is no I2L. So we first argue for the case where I2 exists for all the iterations, and then later argue for the case where I2 does not exist for the last iteration. So first, correctness when I2L exists for the last iteration. I1I and I2I act as a uniquely colored neighbors for each other in every iteration. So for every iteration, these two vertices act as a uniquely colored neighbors to each other. Note that the blue colored vertex in this iteration I is not going to touch or be adjacent to the red colored interval in the iteration I plus 1. And now we'll argue for the case of the intervals which are assigned the color 0. So this interval which is assigned the color 0, they have either I1I or I2I as a uniquely colored neighbor. So for them to not have a uniquely colored neighbor, it has to be adjacent to two reds and two blue intervals. So let us say, for the sake of contradiction, that this vertex, which is colored 0, it is adjacent to these four colored vertices, these two red vertices and these two blue vertices, right? So only then it is not going to have a uniquely colored neighbor. Okay, so let us assume that this vertex is adjacent to all the four of them and it is given the color 0. But why is it given the color 0? This is a blue colored vertex. Why is this vertex given the color 0 and this vertex given the color blue? The only reason may be the blue colored vertex is chosen, which has the largest left endpoint. So the only way that this vertex touches all these four vertices is that the left endpoint of this is somewhere between the left endpoint of this red colored interval and the left endpoint of this blue colored interval, somewhere here, right? And we argued that this blue colored interval in the iteration I and the red colored interval in the iteration I plus 1, they do not intersect. But by the assumption, this interval starts here and then it touches this red interval also. So this implies that this blue colored interval is completely contained in this interval. So this is not a proper interval graph. So our assumption is incorrect. So hence, every vertex which is given the color 0 has a uniquely colored neighbor. Note that the vertices I1I and I1I plus 1 are assigned the same color. Similarly, I2I and I2I plus 1 are assigned the same color. But this is fine because there is no interval which intersects both I1I and I1I plus 1. Now let's argue for the case when I2I does not exist. So this is the case where I2I does not exist. So this can happen only in the very last iteration. So I1L, where L is the last iteration, it does not have a uniquely colored neighbor. So we try to reassign colors to some of the vertices, particularly in the last two iterations, L and L minus 1, and make sure that every vertex has a uniquely colored neighbor. So firstly, we choose an interval IM, which is a neighbor of I2L minus 1 and I1L. So which is this blue colored interval in the last but one iteration and the red colored interval in the last iteration. So choose an interval which is a neighbor to both of them. So does such a interval exist? Yes, it should exist because it's a connected graph. Okay, now we reassign the colors. This red colored interval is now given the color 0. This blue colored interval is now changed to red. And this IM, which was previously given 0, is now changed to blue. And this I1L, which was previously given red, is changed to 0. Now we need to argue that this reassigning does not cause any problem. So note that all the vertices till this point, until the vertices which are adjacent till L minus 2, they are fine. So all the vertices till this point, they have a uniquely colored neighbor, and the arguments are similar to the case that we saw earlier. So we now argue only for this case, for this set of vertices. Okay, firstly, this red colored vertices. So there might be some vertices which were relying on this red colored vertices. So there they start their left end points should be starting after the left end point of this red colored interval. So these intervals maybe they are relying on this red color interval, but note that these intervals are also intersecting with this blue colored interval. They also have a neighbor of this blue colored interval. Why is that? If they don't intersect with this blue colored interval, then these intervals may be properly contained in this red colored interval. Hence, these intervals are also intersecting with the blue colored interval, and hence, instead of having this red colored interval as a uniquely colored neighbor, they'll now have the blue colored interval as a uniquely colored neighbor. So which was now changed to red. Right now, what about this red colored interval? This red colored interval will now have IM as a uniquely colored neighbor. And what about this IM? This IM will now have this red colored interval as a uniquely colored neighbor. And what about this I1L in the before case? So this one, which was red, is now changed to 0. So what is this going to have? This is going to have IM as a uniquely colored neighbor. Hence, every vertex has a uniquely colored neighbor, and 2 colors are actually sufficient. So this is the status of the problem. So we show that it is NP complete to decide if one color is actually sufficient to CF point star color a unit square and a unit disk graph. So these are the new results that we have. So we believe that these bounds of 27 and 51, they can be improved. And we are working on this interval graph complexity result. So maybe these are some of the open questions that I have from this slide. Yeah, if you have any specific questions, maybe we can have a look. I can take it up in during the live discussion. Thank you.